The average person makes over 200 spending decisions a week without consciously thinking about most of them. And marketers have spent billions of dollars figuring out exactly how to hijack that autopilot. Quietly, one small purchase at a time, without you ever noticing it's happening. My name is Kai Cash, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart, disciplined people still end up with a closet full of things they don't remember buying. If you've ever looked at your bank statement and genuinely couldn't explain half of it, stick around, because the answer isn't that you lack self-control.
Subscribe if you're ready to actually understand what's going on instead of just feeling guilty about it. Here's what almost every piece of financial advice gets backwards. It tells you the problem is willpower. Track your spending, make a budget, just say no next time. As if the only thing standing between you and financial discipline is trying a little harder. But if willpower was really the issue, the most disciplined people in every other area of life would be immune to impulse spending. They're not. Doctors, athletes, CEOs, people with incredible self-control in every other domain still swipe their card on things they didn't plan to buy. Think of it like a magician's trick. You're not fooled because you're gullible. You're fooled because the trick is specifically designed to exploit how attention works, and it works on everyone, regardless of intelligence or discipline. Impulse spending is the same. It's not a personal failing, it's a designed outcome. Here's the mechanism nobody explains clearly. Every purchase decision runs through two completely different systems in your brain. One is slow, deliberate, and logical, the part that compares prices and asks whether you actually need something. The other is fast, emotional, and automatic, the part that reacts to a sale sign, a countdown timer, or the specific shade of red on a checkout button. Under normal conditions, the slow system gets a chance to weigh in. But modern retail, especially online retail, is engineered almost entirely to trigger the fast system and get you to the checkout page before the slow system wakes up. Let's talk about how deliberate this actually is, because the numbers are staggering. Retailers spend an estimated 8% of their revenue on marketing designed specifically to influence purchase decisions at the exact moment you're deciding whether to buy. That's not advertising in the general sense. That's product placement, checkout page design, limited time countdown timers, and algorithmically personalized recommendations. All built by teams of behavioral psychologists whose entire job is figuring out how to get your fast system to fire before your slow system catches up. Here's the part that will surprise you. It's not really about the product at all. Studies on impulse purchases consistently show that the emotional payoff happens the moment you click buy, not when the item arrives. Your brain gets a small dopamine hit from the decision itself, the anticipation, the tiny thrill of acquiring something new. By the time the package shows up 3 days later, that emotional peak has already passed. Which is exactly why so many impulse purchases end up sitting unused in a drawer. You weren't actually buying the product. You were buying the 5 seconds of anticipation right before you clicked. I'll be honest with you, I noticed this in myself a few years ago. When I started tracking every single purchase for a month, not to budget, just to observe, I found 6 things I'd bought and completely forgotten about, still in their original packaging. When I looked back at what I was doing right before each purchase, almost all of them happened during moments of boredom, stress, or late-night scrolling. Never when I was calm and actually thinking about what I needed. That pattern was more revealing than any of the individual purchases themselves. Here's a before and after most people never notice. Before you understand this mechanism, every unplanned purchase feels like a small personal failure. After you understand it, the same purchase becomes information instead of judgment. You start noticing the pattern. What mood were you in? What time of day was it? What app were you scrolling? The purchase stops being about willpower and starts being a signal about what's actually triggering you. And here's another one.
Before you understand the mechanism, you try to fix impulse spending by relying on motivation, promising yourself you'll do better next time. After you understand it, you start changing your environment instead. Removing saved payment information, unsubscribing from retailer emails, deleting shopping apps from your home screen. Because you've realized that willpower is a finite resource, and environment design works every single time it's tested. You're not trying to out-discipline a system built by professionals whose entire job is beating your discipline. You're just refusing to play on their field. Now, here's where people usually take this too far in the wrong direction. So let me be clear. This isn't about never buying anything you enjoy or treating every purchase like a moral test. Buying something because you genuinely want it, after thinking it over, is completely different from buying something because a countdown timer created a false sense of urgency. The goal isn't zero spending, it's putting a tiny gap back between the impulse and the purchase. Enough space for your slow system to actually get a vote. That gap can be incredibly small and still work. Research on this shows that a simple 24 to 48-hour waiting period for non-essential purchases eliminates a huge percentage of impulse buys entirely. Not because people forget about the item, but because the artificial urgency wears off, and the actual desire for the product, if it was ever really there, becomes much easier to see clearly. So the next time you feel that pull to buy something you didn't plan on, I want you to ask yourself a different question than, can I afford this? Ask yourself whether you'd still want it in 2 days, with no sale ending and no timer running out. Because the version of you who pauses long enough to ask that question isn't more disciplined than everyone else. They've just stopped blaming themselves for losing a game that was never designed to be fair in the first place, and started changing the game instead. And that's the whole point of this channel, helping you understand the quiet mechanics behind your own decisions.